saw something in our lesson, and I guess it's also reflected in Scripture that I think some people might be confused by. It refers to Christ as God, and also refers to Christ as the image of God. And how can something be an image of itself?
Well, that's, Larry, you're right at the heart of the great mystery that Christians have been trying to understand and articulate from the very beginning. And in the early church, they formulated what has come to be called the hypostatic union, this understanding that Jesus is one person who happens to have two natures, unlike any other individual who ever was or ever will be, who is God of God, very God of very gods, and at the same time is one of us. Mm-hmm. And because he is, and it was the early church's understanding that because he is God, he has the power and the strength to come and actually heal us. But because he's one of us, well, it's us that he's able to come and heal. He's able to take on our afflictions and our diseases, and thus he's able really to heal us and to raise us up. And so he comes as the Son of God down to us because we need him to come. But as the Son of Man, he rises so that our humanity can be redeemed. And I really love the way that Paul reflects on Jesus as the very image of God, who, yes, is God, but is also able to reflect God and show us what God is like. And in showing us what God is like, show us what we have been made to be like. And I love what he does in chapter 3, where he talks about putting to death what's earthly in you, and then he lists some things like fornication, impurity, passion, evil desire, covetousness, idolatry, and talks about how we used to live in those things, but then tells us in verse 12 to put on, as God's chosen ones, compassion and kindness, lowliness, meekness, and patience, forbearing one another, and forgiving one another as Christ has forgiven. And I think part of what he's talking about is we have a relationship with one who came to live all of these things. We have a relationship not with a theological concept, redemption, or a thing, a cross. We have a relationship with the person who imaged God, showed us what it is like to be made after the fashion of God. And he comes to live in us, teaching us forbearance and patience and love. And I think verses like this for Paul were sort of a call. I don't think I mean sort of. I mean, I think they were a call to these people to pay attention to the Jesus that his traveling companion Luke was writing about, collecting stories about. And in Jesus, you had a model of what it is to be a real live human being who was obedient to his mom and dad, who grew in favor with God and man, in wisdom and in stature, who went to the temple and who worshiped the Lord, and who came bearing God's heart and showed us, would call Zacchaeus down from the tree, and who would show forgiveness to the woman who washed his feet with her tears and with her hair. So I think the image of God thing is remarkable. There's a theological mystery there. How can he be God and the image of God? But by being the image of God, he shows us a picture of who God is. But he shows us there's a sense in which we are called to be images of God. And we won't be an image of God in quite the same way he is, because, well, we won't be perfect, and we won't have this hypostatic union going on. We are mere humans, but we are redeemed humans. And his life is what we're called called into in our redemption.